strange sight in the sky last night over Oahu caught the attention of...
Chapter 1. Archangel Michael and his role as protector of Israel. In recent news, there are claims that Archangel Michael has made an appearance in Jerusalem, which has sparked discussions about the significance of this event. Some believe that it indicates Jerusalem's importance in the end times, suggesting that God is offering hope to Israel. Archangel Michael is seen as a protector of Israel, guiding and safeguarding them on behalf of God. In the teachings of the rabbis, there is a belief that the Archangel Michael played a significant role as an advocate for the Jewish people. According to this tradition, Michael had to engage in battles with angels representing other nations, especially with Samael, who acted as an accuser of Israel. This enmity began when Samael was expelled from heaven and attempted to drag Michael down with him, leading to God's intervention. The idea that Michael served as an advocate for the Jews became widely accepted, even though rabbinical teachings discouraged praying to angels as intermediaries between God and people. Despite this prohibition, Michael found a place in Jewish liturgy, and some prayers were directed towards him. Despite rabbinical warnings against appealing to angels as intermediaries, Michael became prominent in Jewish liturgy. Although direct prayer to God was emphasized, Michael held a symbolic place. For example, Jeremiah addressed a prayer to Michael. Rabbis asserted that Michael assumed his role as defender during the time of the biblical patriarchs. According to Rabbi Eliezer ben Jacob, Michael rescued Abraham from Nimrod's furnace and played a role in various episodes. Some accounts suggest Michael informed Abraham about Lot's capture and protected Sarah from harm by Abimelech. Michael's interventions continued, preventing Isaac's sacrifice by substituting Abram, saving Jacob from danger even in the womb, and thwarting Laban's harm to Jacob. In the Midrash Exodus Rabbah, Michael acted as an advocate for Israel during the Exodus, contributing to the destruction of Sennacherib's army. Rabbis claimed that Michael took on the role of defender during the time of the biblical patriarchs. Stories include Michael rescuing Abraham from a fiery furnace, informing him about Lot's capture, and protecting Sarah from harm. Michael is also credited with preventing the sacrifice of Isaac by providing a ram as a substitute and saving Jacob from danger, even before his birth. In the Exodus narrative, Michael is said to have acted as an advocate for Israel, playing a role in the destruction of Sennacherib's army during the time of the Exodus. Despite facing historical challenges, such as scattering and persecution over 2,500 years, the Jewish people have managed to survive. Numerous attempts to annihilate them, from the Babylonians to Hitler, have failed, leading many to believe in divine protection. In the past century, Israel has experienced a remarkable 7.7% increase in its Jewish population due to mass immigration. While Israel faces contemporary challenges, it's emphasized that God has never abandoned the promised land. Michael is considered a powerful protector of God's people, including Israel. Reports of celestial visions above Israeli armored vehicles are interpreted as signs of Michael's presence, symbolizing God's protection even in modern conflicts. During significant events, such as a swarm of angels appearing above Israeli troops, there have been reports of divine intervention. This occurrence filled Israeli troops with energy while causing fear and awe among their adversaries, resembling a divine shield. Historical events like the Arab-Israeli conflicts of 1948 and the Six-Day War in 1967 are cited as examples of Israel's resilience and strength, often attributed to divine protection. In the past, Israel took proactive measures with a preemptive strike to destroy Arab air forces before they could launch an attack. After this conflict, Israel gained control of territories like the Sinai, the Golan Heights, Gaza, the West Bank, and for the first time in 2,000 years, the entirety of Jerusalem. The rapid defeat of Arab armies was partly due to their lack of coordination. In 1973, during the holy day of Yom Kippur, Egypt and Syria launched a surprise coordinated attack against Israel. Despite being caught off guard, Israel, with help from the U.S., successfully defended against the offensive. In 2016, an unusual storm cloud with dust and rain acted as a barrier between Israel and ISIS. The storm stopped precisely at the Syrian border, and many view this as divine intervention preventing ISIS from entering Israel. Looking ahead, there is mention of a predicted Gog and Magog war involving Russian and Islamic armies against Israel from the north. This is seen as another instance where God safeguards his people. However, it's crucial to note that God's protection may be conditional, as seen in historical patterns when Israel turned away from their faith. Chapter 2. The biblical and apocryphal basis for Michael's role as Israel's protector. In the book of Daniel, the prophet Daniel has a vision of an angel, identified as Archangel Gabriel, who faced spiritual resistance while trying to convince the Persian king Cyrus to allow the Jewish people to return to Israel. Gabriel mentions a 21-day struggle with the prince of the kingdom of Persia. In this spiritual battle, Archangel Michael appears as one of the chief princes, providing assistance and reinforcement, emphasizing divine intervention and protection. Later in Daniel 12:1, Michael is referenced again in a prophetic vision of the end of the world, portrayed as the protector of the people of Israel, saving them from their enemies. Though Michael's name isn't mentioned again in the Old Testament, the letter of Jude connects him to a dispute over the body of Moses. Daniel 7 in the Bible contains an important apocalyptic passage describing a figure known as one like a son of man, who rides on the clouds and is given dominion over the earth by the Ancient of Days. Some think this figure represents the nation of Israel, while others, including John J. Collins and Darrell D. Hannah, argue that it's the angelic leader of Israel, Michael. Angels in Daniel are described as resembling humans, and the role given to Michael in Daniel 12 aligns with what's described in Daniel 7. Even if the human-like being isn't specifically Michael in Daniel 7, the idea of a divine second-in-command over Israel is developed further in later chapters, explicitly naming Michael. Psalm 82 is another Old Testament passage influencing Jewish eschatology, where a figure called Elohim is given dominion over all nations to judge them. Daniel 7 seems to draw on this interpretation, portraying an exalted angel. In a Qumran scroll, 11Q Melch, Michael is equated with the Elohim in Psalm 82. Another Qumran text, the Self-Exaltation Hymn, describes an exalted being above the gods in heaven, with some scholars suggesting it could be Michael. In the Bible, Archangel Michael is depicted as the special guardian of the children of Israel. He comforts and protects them during times of sorrow and conflict. Michael played a role in their return from Persian captivity, as mentioned in Daniel's prayer, and led the valiant Maccabees to victory after Judas Maccabee's prayer. In Judaism, the Book of Enoch lists Michael as one of 7 archangels, standing before the glory of the Lord. He appears in the last chapters of the Book of Daniel, engaging in a battle against the Prince of Persia and emerging as the great prince protecting God's people at the end time. Later Jewish works elevate Michael as the chief of angels, mediating the Torah, defending the people of God in eschatological battles, and fulfilling various roles, including being Israel's advocate and the commander of heavenly armies. In the New Testament, Michael is associated with the 7 branches of the menorah in the temple and is explicitly mentioned in Revelation 12:7-12, casting out Satan from heaven. The fall of Satan at the advent of Jesus marks the separation of the New Testament from Judaism. In Luke 22:31, Jesus takes on a role similar to Michael in Judaism, opposing Satan's accusations. The Epistle of Jude emphasizes Michael's role in disputing with Satan over the body of Moses.
Oh, angels, ministering spirits, watch this. Then it says, is Michael not the prince of Israel? Get this. In other words, Michael is only given to Israel, not to anyone.
Chapter 3. Michael in the New Testament and early Christianity. In the New Testament book of Revelation, there's a story in chapter 12 about a battle in heaven. It describes Michael, the commander-in-chief of God's angels, leading them in a fight against a great dragon. The dragon, also known as the devil and Satan, is thrown down to the earth along with his angels. This battle is linked to ancient legends, connecting the dragon to primeval times and echoing the story found in the life of Adam and Eve. In the larger context of Revelation chapter 12, this battle signifies the beginning of God's kingdom and Christ's rule, hinting at an end-time context similar to the war between Michael and Belial in the Qumran War Scroll. There's a reference to Daniel's vision of Michael in Revelation 12:7, indicating that the author has Daniel's prophecy about Michael and the end of the age in mind. Revelation 19 describes another battle, this time with Christ defeating the dragon on earth. An unnamed angel, possibly Michael, binds the dragon for 1,000 years, resembling what happened to the Watchers in 1 Enoch. The exact relationship between these two battles is unclear. Some suggest they might be two perspectives of the same event, since earthly and heavenly events are mirrored. This interpretation directly associates Christ with Michael. Revelation also seems to draw from the tradition, in 1 Enoch 69, that Michael possessed a secret name through which creation is bound together. In Revelation 19:12, Christ is portrayed as the possessor of a secret name known only to himself. In Revelation 8:3-5, there's a part where an unnamed angel is like a priest, offering the prayers of the saints to God. This angel holds a golden censer and is given incense to present the prayers of all the saints on a golden altar before God. A similar tradition about Michael in the heavenly temple is found in the apocryphal Jewish book of 3 Baruch, written around the same time as Revelation. In this tradition, Michael's role is to receive people's prayers, place them in a large bowl, and bring them before God.
In the past decade, there has been a ton of spotlight on the differences between these two branches of Islam, Shia and Sunni Muslims.
Chapter 4. Michael in Islam and Shia Islam. In Islam, Michael is called Mikael, and the Quran mentions him as Mikal in QS 298. In Islam, Michael holds the responsibility of providing nourishment for both bodies and souls. Often depicted as the Archangel of Mercy, he is friendly, seeking God's mercy for humans. According to Muslim legends, Michael is among the first to obey God's command to bow before Adam. He is also associated with overseeing universal and environmental events. Angels are said to be created from Michael's tears, serving as his helpers. Islamic scholars and clerics unanimously refer to various hadiths for interpreting Surah Al-Imran 3024, suggesting that Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, and thousands of angels from the third level of the sky participated in the Battle of Badr. Some traditions link these angels to taking the form of Zubair ibn al-Awwam, a companion of Muhammad. In a hadith, Muhammad recounts that Gabriel and Michael approached him. Gabriel instructed him to recite the Quran in one mode, and Michael encouraged him to ask for more, ultimately reaching 7 modes, each believed to have health-giving qualities. Another hadith in Sahih Muslim reports that Michael and Gabriel, both dressed in white, accompanied Muhammad during the Battle of Uhud. Witnesses like Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas testified to seeing both archangels during the battle. In Shia Islam, a supplication called Dua Dawood attributes blessings to Michael, acknowledging him as the angel of God's mercy, created for kindness and seeking pardon for obedient people. According to the creation narrative of Adam in Shia Islam, Michael was tasked with bringing a handful of earth, but the earth did not yield a piece of itself that would burn. Since the time of Jesus Christ, the Church has honored Saint Michael as its special patron and protector. His name is invoked during confession, and he is called upon to stand by believers in their hour of death. The Church also chooses Michael as the escort for souls journeying from purgatory to the realms of holy light. According to prophecy, when the Antichrist establishes his kingdom on earth, it will be Archangel Michael who unfolds the standard of the cross. This insight is based on a clear scripture prophecy that foretells Michael rising up to protect the children of God. In the 6th century, during a plague in Rome, Pope Gregory the Great had a vision of Saint Michael sheathing his flaming sword, indicating that Michael would put an end to the devastating scourge. In gratitude, a church was built in 608, dedicated to Saint Michael for the assistance he provided. The evidence so far suggests that there are similarities between the roles of Michael in various Jewish traditions and Christ in Christianity. We haven't fully explored Jewish traditions of Michael as a high priest in the heavenly temple, or his roles as an intercessor and psychopomp. Considering the early Christians were an offshoot of Judaism, it's not surprising to find instances where the distinction between Michael and Christ is blurred. Some scholars even interpret Michael as the heavenly counterpart of Christ, who defeats the dragon on earth. According to one perspective, when Michael's victory is accompanied by the proclamation of salvation and Christ's authority, it implies that Michael is Christ. Chapter 5. Michael in the Catholic Church and Early Christian Traditions. In the Shepherd of Hermas, a 2nd century Christian text, a glorious angel is described who justifies the penitent and tests believers. In this text, the angel is named Michael, and though the name Jesus is not used, the angel is seemingly referred to as the Son of God in other passages. Some scholars argue for a tradition of angelic Christology in early Christianity. For instance, in Galatians 4:14, Paul uses the term angel of God to describe Christ. Alan Siegel proposes that the Christian understanding of Christ was shaped by combining traditions about various angelic figures with messianic prophecies. According to Siegel, early Christians unified these traditions to vindicate Christ's martyrdom, creating a redemption myth centered around Jesus. There's some evidence suggesting that Michael was venerated or worshipped directly in certain Jewish or Christian groups, similar to how Jesus is in mainstream Christianity. Colossians 2:18 warns against the worship of angels, implying that some early Christians may have engaged in this practice. Hebrews 1 and 2 focus on demonstrating Christ's superiority over angels, suggesting that the audience might have been drawn to angel veneration, or perceived Christ as an angel. Rabbinical literature also prohibits the worship of Michael and other angels, emphasizing the direct calling upon God without the need for mediators. Ancient charms and prayers have been found that directly invoke Michael, sometimes even addressing him as a god. The Council of Laodicea in 360 CE explicitly forbade the worship of angels. And Theodore, a theologian writing a few decades later, mentioned a cult of the angel Michael in certain regions. Despite these intriguing findings, whether some groups actually venerated Michael and other angels remains disputed among scholars. God remains constant in his power and ways, offering assurance through his unchanging nature. Conversely, Satan, once the highest of angels, fell due to his desire for worship and elevation above God. Despite Satan's intentions of evil, God promises good, highlighting his supremacy over all beings, including angels. When Satan rebelled against God, he led 1/3 of the angels astray, forming the demonic dark spiritual forces we confront today. These forces aim to deceive and trap us, often masquerading as angels, with the goal of diverting our worship from God and leading us into destruction. It's crucial to remain vigilant, as the enemy is adept at disguising himself, aiming to lure us into traps that lead to ruin. However, God promises to assist us as we seek to honor him and walk wisely in life. Even when we are unaware of impending dangers, God sees all and is at work, offering hope, protection, and justice. God knows the path ahead and works in ways beyond our understanding, providing for our needs, bringing justice and mercy to our lives and drawing us closer to Himself as we strive to live wisely and fully for Him. Despite God's actions often occurring behind the scenes or unfolding unexpectedly, He is always working on our behalf, whether we are aware of it or not. There exists a spiritual realm around us, and may God grant us the ability to see clearly that angels are among us, and that God continues to work miracles even today. Some believe that in certain passages, the angel represents God Himself, appearing in angelic form. For example, in Exodus 33:19, the angel speaks on behalf of God, declaring His intentions and mercy. The identity of the presence accompanying the Israelites is both the Lord and the angel of God, distinct from ordinary angels, bearing God's very name and possessing the authority to forgive sins, a power attributed only to God. This angel personally guided the Israelites from Egypt to the Promised Land, and his appearance in a glorious cloud suggests his divine nature, leading many Christians to believe that He is Jesus Christ appearing before His incarnation. Throughout history, manifestations of God's presence have taken various forms, symbolized by visible glowing clouds signifying His glory, guiding Israel with a pillar of fire and a cloud in the Old Testament, and similar cloud-like appearances in the New Testament, particularly during Jesus' ascension and the promise of His return. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed watching this video, like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.